Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Hope that you can hear me. Hope that you can see the slides. If you're in, if you could just let us know, would really appreciate that. As always, welcome to Paul's Monday Market Update number 214 for Monday, the 9th of February 2026. Hope you're all well. Hope you've had a good weekend. I certainly have, which basically consisted of England winning the Six Nations, United winning and Liverpool losing. So it was pretty much a trifecta of great results for me there. Okay, so that sets us off for a good start to the week ahead. But wherever you are, hope you've had a good weekend. Hope you're ready for what is going to be an interesting week, another interesting week in the interesting year that we find ourselves here in 2026. If you are joining us for the first time, the Monday Market Update is just that. It is me flying through as much as I can possibly share with you over the next 25, 30 minutes, looking at strength and weakness within FX indices and commodities markets, having a look at some charts of interest, okay, that you might want to add to your watch list, and then also basically a look at the live markets. It is not a signal service. It's not trade recommendations. It is me sharing what I'm looking at, which you may wish to add to your watch list as well. As always, you are very welcome here, but just remember you're always responsible for your own trading decisions. And if you want a bit of help and support in your own trading journey, you can join the VTP Trader Accountability Group. Doesn't really matter what you trade or how you trade. It's all about building discipline, accountability, and consistency in your trading endeavors. You can either ping me if you've got questions, or you can use the bit.ly code or that QR code there. It'll take you towards where there's some more information. And finally, for today, before we switch across to the live markets, McDonald's, all right, Mackie D. As I said, there's a lot of companies with earnings, a lot of interesting companies, but McDonald's, they are Wednesday before the market open. What's the interest here? Well, I think personally, it's a bit of a defensive. It's a bit of a defensive stock, is McDonald's, all right, and of course it has, it's franchise driven across the globe, so it is, I think, a good indicator of overall kind of global demand. What we saw during the last crash in the GFC was that actually McDonald's basically, their share price rocketed because basically people were struggling and they were resorting to eating McDonald's. Furthermore, people were paying for the McDonald's on credit cards. Okay, so they're having to pay for their lunch, which they're having at McDonald's, on their credit cards, and so that was giving us great indication into the stress of the overall system. This time, McDonald's, because of the cost of living, McDonald's is not cheap. It is not necessarily the cheap option anymore. Okay, I mean, I eat in McDonald's once a year, okay, and it's normally a pretty miserable experience, and it reminds me why I don't eat McDonald's, okay. But it's not a cheap experience anymore, okay, especially if you've got families and such. So it's kind of an interesting view on the kind of health and the strength of the economy, and for the most part, all right, for the most part, you might say, well, Paul, we're $300 here, okay, and sort of $250, and we've been in a kind of a range. If you're a range bound trader, this is your your bread and butter. But actually, we've probably I'd say we've kind of worked up to that range. Here we go. Excuse my drawings, as I say, I'm a better trader than I'm an artist. That's almost like an ascending wedge, an ascending triangle, which we broke out of kind of last week above $320. So I'll be kind of looking to see, what they talk about in terms of the trends for the traffic. Okay, so because as I said, they can only do so much in the pricing, and if consumers start kind of trading down, all right, in terms of where they choose to go to eat, because as I said, McDonald's is not the cheap option that it was 15 years ago, 30 years ago. It is not. And as I said, it's an indication of kind of the overall trends globally and then within the US. So hence why it's kind of worth keeping a bit of an eye on. All right, so there we go. Some charts of interest that you can add to your watch list and see how they play out this week. Let's switch across to the live markets. We're going to overrun a bit here, but that's because there's just so much going on and so much to discuss. Just bear with us a second. What we'll do is we'll take a look at the live markets.